All right, welcome into the latest edition of the Second Half Draft Show. I'm your host, Shoes, joined by Headley and Drew. And as we've done thus far, we're going to break down the previous weekend in college football and preview the coming weekend in college football. So week 3 is in the books. We're going to take a look back at it, evaluate the NFL draft prospects. Then we'll look ahead to week 4. Make sure that you all guys know exactly who to focus in on as it relates to the 2025 NFL draft. Of course, the Second Half Draft Show, the show is done through the prism of the NFL draft. So we're always evaluating. It's year round. All right. Shout out to the Patreon team. What's going on? Mrs. C. Prasky, Dana. Fellas, we got a few studs of the week. That's generally where we start when we start the Second Half Draft Show in season. Who really performed at a really high level, generally have a lot of statistical output. We got about 4, maybe 5. I got 4 here. Shedeur, I'll throw Shedeur in there as well. I thought Shedeur stood out among the quarterbacks this week. That would actually put him on this list twice in just 3 weeks. But the players that I want to actually highlight here include your guy, Drew, Omarion Hampton. All right, big performance here, 3 TDs, 210 yards, led the nation in rushing this past weekend. I know that first game of the season missed critical blitz pickup. Of course, that plays looms very large at the next level. You're not going to get on the field if you can't pass protect, but he's a talented ball carrier, man. There's no doubt about that. What are your thoughts on him, Headley? Drew?
Oh, yeah, man. Like you said, he's talented. He's big. He's fast. Man, if that lane opens up for him, man, he could go the distance. You know, running backs like that, you put him in a certain scheme, you get it blocked up, and, yeah, they could take off at the next level, man. I love that he runs with physicality and speed, man. So, yeah, I think Hampton, just clean up, like you said, the blitz pickups, pass protection. You know, that's big at the next level. So once he improve upon that, you know, I could see him sticking around the league for a while. Right now, I think I have him like borderline top 5 running back in the class, but you know, more performances like this, man, he's gonna be moving up. He's gonna be moving up my board. So, yeah, man, start of the week, Omarion Hampton.
What does that top 5 look like for you right now?
Right now, Genty. I got Genty 1. Then I got a little fall off. There's a gap. I think Genty has separated himself. I had Ollie Gordon, Judkins, Etienne, and then Damian Martinez. So that was preseason. If I had to make the list now, yeah, I'll move Hampton up. I'll probably drop Etienne down a little bit. Etienne, I thought he had a good game last game, but I haven't seen that breakout performance yet for Etienne. So I'll probably move Hampton up to 5 and maybe Martinez up to 4. And then Judkins at 3, Gordon at 2, and Genty at 1.
Interestingly enough, Martinez really hasn't broken out yet either. Right, he had a pretty solid game against UF, but over the last couple of weeks, he's taken a back seat. Some of that is, game script, and some of that has actually been, effectiveness. He hasn't been as effective as some of the other backs, and I think I wanna say that it has more to do with the way that they're running him than anything else. Right, they run a lot of duo out of the pistol, out of the gun. You want him, 7 yards deep. You know what I'm saying? Getting downhill. I think he can do it all, but he just hasn't necessarily found his way just yet. So got to keep an eye on that. Drew, your thoughts on Hampton?
Outside of the
eating, drinking on the set. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, listen, the food just came in about 10 minutes ago. You feel me?
It's hot already.
Gotta eat. You know what I'm saying? But no. Outside of the pass pro, which is obviously probably the biggest thing that we that may have an issue with him. I think the other thing too is just taking a little less hits. His style is not really to make people miss. You always kind of you always worry about that in terms of the running back position, taking too many hits. But he's a big guy, strong guy, good lower half. He's not easy to take down, especially when he gets going, puts his foot in the ground, he's getting downhill, no nonsense type of guy. And he works well off his blocks, man, to kind of set them up from the backfield as he's approaching the line of scrimmage to set guys up and then kind of break off of those. So he has a pretty good vision. But again, that pass pro is concerning, especially when you get your starting quarterback, get him seasoned out there. And I don't mean, garlic and black pepper. You know what I'm saying?
You don't mean Lowry?
I don't mean Lowry's. I don't mean
Sazon?
that's none of that, bro. You know what I'm saying? No time. You know what I'm saying? Cumin. Is it cumin?
Yeah.
None of that, bro. None of that. Is it who's the quarterback for them now? Is it Max Johnson's brother, or does he? I can't remember if he plays tight. I can't remember. There's too many Johnsons out there.
I'm not sure. To be perfectly frank with you.
I'm gonna look it up. I gotta know now.
Yeah, I it's going to be the scarlet letter, right? In terms of the pass pro, that's going to be the question mark. Hopefully he has an opportunity to kind of redeem himself throughout the rest of the season. Again, no significant question mark in terms of being a ball carrier, but you gotta be able to be trusted in pass pro. There's no getting around that at the next level. Let's move on. We'll stay at the running back position here. We'll go to UCF, and you got RJ Harvey with a really big performance against TCU, really carried that UCF team. They ultimately get the upset in this particular contest. And he's a player. He's a player that I think the NFL draft community is kind of perked up, right? He's been really consistent throughout this year. He's had a lot of success in the early ons. And again, this performance in week 3 certainly has put him on the national map. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I haven't watched him. I'm not aware of him, so I don't even know. I mean, looking at that, let me not do that. Say, looking at the picture, I can imagine what kind of running back he is, but let's not do that. I'm not really sure, so I'm going to have to key in on him. I know them boys covered. I know that. You know how I do my thing. But I'm gonna have to start paying attention to UCF. I usually start looking at UCF towards the end of the year, but I think I might have to, put him on the. Put him on the docket to get in there. And Lil G Griffin, my condolences. That's tough.
Oh, definitely. Never an easy thing to lose a family member. So certainly our condolences. I want to express that as well. Drew, don't let this image fool you. Don't let this image fool you.
Don't let it do it. All right, I'm gonna.
Yeah. I think this might be an older image as well.
Okay.
He looks a bit more put together than what this image might show. You know what I'm saying? So
okay.
No. He was carrying the mail. I think it was like 29 carries he had, bro. If I'm not mistaken. He was toting the pill.
Okay.
He was toting the pill. So certainly a player that we're going to be keying in on a little bit more. Are you familiar with him? Have you had any exposure to Harvey?
Just highlights, different things. Just watching TV. I haven't scouted him yet. Haven't looked, but when I did see him, seems very twitchy. Fast football player. I think the size, maybe he got bigger this season. I know the size might have been a concern for him, but man, explosive. He's explosive with the ball in his hands. So, definitely a player to watch.
Yeah, he's tipping the scales now, right? He's in that 202, 203 range now. So certainly has a little bit more room to put some mass on that frame, but compact, 5'9". We're talking like 5'9", 5'8", 205-ish. So okay. I'm not necessarily concerned. He's not a scat back. I want to make that clear. He's not a scat back for our audience here. We move on, and we're gonna go out west, Mississippi Brassy. San Jose State's Nick Nash had a game, right? So they play Kennesaw State, and 17 grabs, 3 TDs, 225 yards. I don't care who you are, who you're playing against, man. Yeah, that is staggering production. Production. They had no answer for Nick Nash, and among wide receiver performances, it's maybe top 2, I would say, from my perspective, probably about a top 2 performance. So he's a senior. He's been at San Jose State his entire career, so we're not terribly familiar with him, but when you put up numbers like that, you certainly bear some consideration. So I'm going to keep an eye out for Nick Nash, see how he continues to respond as teams start to, I guess, adjust. He seemed to kind of pick things up last year as a junior. This season, putting it all together. So I'll keep an eye out for him, see if he continues to bolster his draft stock. And then we go to Omar Kelly at Middle Tennessee State, who actually had more yardage, same amount of TDs, more yardage on just 9 grabs here. again, not a powerhouse opponent in Western Kentucky, but the Auburn transfer had a huge game. Again, as you can see, based on these statistics, stretching the field, making big plays. So another player that, again, when you see that type of explosion, it could be flash in the pan. It's certainly within the realm of possibility, but you want to keep an eye on those guys. You want to keep an eye on those guys, see if they can stack some good games together, put some good film together, and force their way into that NFL draft conversation. So we'll keep our eyes peeled for Nick Nash at San Jose State and Omar Kelly from Middle Tennessee State. I mentioned Shedeur certainly could be in consideration for set of the week. I think just in terms of overall statistical production, how he bounced back after a really rough outing against Nebraska. The Colorado offensive line played much better. And when given time, he put on a show. He and your boy Hunter, they're difference makers. They certainly are difference makers. And despite some of the concerns, and I actually want to unpack this a little bit because this has been a kind of a prevailing conversation, a reoccurring conversation we've had here in terms of the off the field antics or the concerns regarding Shedeur Sanders and the persona and the whole prime and everything like that. And there was a lot of fuss made about him not necessarily shaking hands with the opposing quarterback, right? And of course, on the surface, again, it doesn't look great. Optics-wise, it doesn't look great. But as you get more and more information, the opposing quarterback had some choice words. And Shedeur decided to hold him accountable for what he said. Now, Shedeur went on to, again, shake hands with all the other competitors because they didn't necessarily take shots. So do what you will with that information. I think it's a whole lot of nothing. But again, there seems to be this kind of reoccurring theme in terms of how he carries himself. Of course, you want your quarterbacks to be buttoned up when you hand them the keys to a franchise. What are your thoughts before we move on? What are your thoughts in terms of Shedeur Sanders and I guess the behavior, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, it's something to watch. It's something to watch, man. We know him as, braggadocious, cocky, and, sometimes that could be a great thing, for a football player to have that swagger out there. So, it's like a double-edged sword a little bit because, while it could be a great thing, if it keeps happening and things keep happening like this, it's going to be a red flag. It's going to be something that the NFL organization is going to look at. And whatever comes with him also, prime comes with him, all that comes with him also. And, certain teams are not going to like that. Certain teams are not going to like a braggadocious player, especially at the quarterback position. So it's something to watch for him. But for me personally, I like all of that, man. I like all of that, man. This is not on the field issues. This is kind of like off the field, not even off the field. He's not getting arrested. He's not doing anything stupid that way. But, just you gotta shake the guy's hand after the game, man. After the game's over, shake the opponent's hands and keep it moving, bro. Show some class, man. That's how I would move personally. But I'm not really worried about it either, Juice. I'm on the same boat as you,
bro. And the reason I don't care is because it's a rivalry game, bro. That's why I don't care, right? So I just and again, that quarterback was talking. I guess them boys remembered last year and all of that, and they felt some kind of way. And that Colorado State team, guys stayed on that team when they could have got paid and went elsewhere, right, with the NIL. So they were looking to kind of, I guess, make a run with that team, and that's probably not going to be the case this year because I was watching that, and that team's,
they're not good, bro.
They're not athletic enough to make the run I think that they thought they could make. It's nice that they stayed there and kind of want to run through that, him and Horton. But no, that's not what it is. But in terms of just the kind of the whole picture, I mean, the prime thing makes it worse because you don't know exactly, how far this can go in terms of having to deal with that whole just I'm that guy, I'm him type of thing, right? It's you don't know exactly what you're getting when you get that, right? And if it's gonna affect your locker room, it's kind of scary, man. So like Haley said, it is a double-edged sword. So I don't know, man. That's tough. I'd have to sit them down and have that conversation, right?
Yeah.
That's we're not privy to any of that, and that's kind of where I would make my decision. But as of right now, I'm kind of up in the air.
And we
So
spoke
I hear
about
more, see more.
We talked about it a little last week, bro. It's the guys in the locker room. It's his teammates. You know, you don't want to alienate your teammates, but if your teammates love you, love playing for you, then I don't see a problem with it. But if it rubs his teammates the wrong way, and you know they think he thinks he's better than everyone, then that's when the locker room could divide. You know, so and you know we talked about quarterbacks in the past that kind of alienated their teammates and it didn't work out for them. You know, you got to have guys that you love to play for, you want to battle for. Like Tom Brady is the perfect example of that, man. Every teammate that I know, they love Tom Brady, bro. They love what he does on the football team, the leadership and everything. So, man, that's the key right there, man. How does your teammates feel about the antics? If they love it and they ride for him, then there's no issues, bro. There's no issues at all.
But you gotta, like Dennis, you gotta be winning, like Dennis saying. You know, winning covers up a lot. But the minute you start losing, that's when the rumors come out and he said this, they said that, and he's doing this, and then you know everything just comes crashing down.
Yeah. I really don't have anything to add there. I think Headley summed it up perfectly. It really does come down to, you know, the response you get in the locker room, right? And ultimately holding yourself accountable for your play. You understand what I'm saying? You know, it's one thing to be candid with the media. You know, you could be prickly or whatever the case may be as it relates to your opponents. Like I said, it was just the one player that he didn't necessarily dap up after the game. It wasn't as if he ran to the locker room or, you know, because we've seen that before too, where guys just avoid guys on the field after the game altogether. It wasn't anything like that. But certainly, any type of behavior that's considered outside the norm, if you're not winning or if you lose the locker room, could be very problematic. So something to monitor. But again, I'm not adjusting my rankings because of that. That probably won't be unless something unforeseen occurs. Probably won't be a determining factor in terms of where Shador ultimately ends up as far as my quarterback rankings are concerned. All right. Let's talk about week 3 a little bit more. Let's talk about it a little bit more. And we're looking at it through the prism of individual draft prospects currently. We spoke about the studs of the week. Let's talk about whose stock is up. All right. I have about 8 players here, but certainly if there are any additional players you guys want to mention, please do in the comment section. If there's someone we omitted that you think is worth mentioning, bring to our attention. Perhaps it was a Freudian slip on our behalf. Make mention of them in the comments so we can discuss them. I want to start with Zion Childress, though. We had our film session with the patrons last night. Shout out Mr. C. Prasky. And we watched Clemson, Georgia, right? We watched that from the first week, right? And then we watched Georgia, Kentucky. Very close contest. No offense really got anything going. The nickel, man, Zion Childress for Kentucky was literally everywhere, bro. He was everywhere in this contest. And we all came away, we're like, okay, first of all, who's number 11? And then secondly, yeah, man, we got to talk about him tonight, right? We had that conversation. He certainly could have made a case for the studs segment. Terrific performance here against Georgia, and frankly, you know, just a little bit more offense, a little bit more competency on the offensive side of the ball, and they come away with the big upset. What were your thoughts on Childress, Drew?
Yeah, that man a baller, bro. Like if you're watching him, the way that Kentucky wanted to play Georgia was you're gonna have to beat us man to man. Like we're gonna put hands on you. We're gonna be physical. We coming downhill. And he was the embodiment of that for that defense. I think he made the first play of the game coming off the backside and ran the play down, going from right to left, and he made the play. And he continued to be that guy. He kept getting around blocks, getting around screens to make plays. He probably should have had himself a pick six. Kind of bounced up off the receiver. It did bounce off the ground, but he could have had himself a pick six. I mean. He was making people feel him, bro. And pause, no Diddy. But you know, he's leading the team. As far as I know, he's still leading the team in tackles for a loss, bro, from the nickel position, right? So you have these nickels that they play the run really well. You know what I'm saying? Great run fits. no fear. Then you have the nickels who can cover like nobody's business, right? And then you have the nickels who can do both, right? And I'm looking for him to do that because in coverage, he's specifically speaking in zone coverage. He's really, really intelligent, man. He's where he needs to be. He'll take away the throwing lanes. He'll make the quarterback kind of think twice, 2 or 3 times before they'll can I get it there? I don't know. He's headsy, smart football player, man. I was trying to watch the South Carolina game from the week before because they said he balled in that one. I just didn't get a chance to get all the way through it, but I mean, he just shows up, man. Anytime you watch a team, bro, and you're kind of looking at a different player, but then another player comes up, you're like, what's that number? Who's that guy? You know what I'm saying? Is he eligible? And that's kind of where we were coming from him, and he's from Texas State, man. Transfer from Texas State.
Yeah, man. It's always great to see guys this like you weren't aware of them. Like you said, we weren't aware of this guy, and then you watch the tape, and you're really watching Deion Walker on the defensive line. Going against that Georgia offensive line. That's the matchup you're watching, keying in on. And number 11, Zion Childress, just kept making plays after plays after play. And you're like, okay, we got to circle this guy right here. We got to put his name down somewhere. And now, like you said, Drew, we got to go watch the previous games as well. Because like you said, he was flying all over the field, tackles for losses, coming downhill, eluding blocks, and just how fast he got to the ball carrier. And then, in the live, I was like, what about coverage? As soon as I said that, then you see him playing man coverage across the middle of the field, turned his hips fluidly, did really well there. And then in zone coverage, like Drew said, just had his eyes right in the right place, forced the running back inside. And, man, he just did it all. The only thing now I'm looking to see is deep down the field. I know you're a nickel corner, and you're probably going to be sent on blitzes. You're going to do your thing in the run game. But at the next level, great offensive coordinators, they're going to try to find matchups and test you where you're weak at. I'm not saying he's weak there. I just haven't seen him deep down the field yet. So, man, it's going to be exciting, man. A lot of tape to watch, but this is definitely a guy that we got to push, bro. We got to push him because that game we watched against Georgia, man, he was probably the best player on the football field.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, Helly. He was the best player on the football field. I mean, we know what Walker is, bro. We already know what time it is, and he made his presence felt. Right, he was lining up off the edge. He was in the motorcycle stance, 2-point stance, doing his thing. But Childress certainly start to finish, appeared to be the best player on the field for either team, frankly, in this one. And you guys both mentioned his play in zone and his ability to read coverage, pass certain things off, understand what the offense is trying to do to him, put him in a bind, and in turn putting Carson Beck, who did not have a very good game, in a bind himself, right? And that doesn't show up in the box score. That's the thing about it. That type of play, that type of individual effort, while it looms huge on tape, doesn't show up in the box score. So I'm with you. We certainly need to revisit some Kentucky tape because Kentucky's defense is, as far as I can recall, and of course, over the course of several seasons now, they have been known for what they do on the defensive side of the ball. So Zion Childress is certainly someone whose stock is up in our eyes and someone you, the audience, should pay attention to if you're in the market for a nickel back. Some really tough news came down today about our next stock up player here, Siobhan Revelle Jr. out of East Carolina, widely considered a top 5, perhaps even top 3 cornerback in the 2025 NFL draft. He had another INT. Was it a pick six? Was it a pick six this past week that he had?
So. He came across the middle of the field, stepped in front of the receiver. I think he scored. He was along the sideline. So, yeah.
Great length, ball skills. Unfortunately, I believe it was today. It was either yesterday or today. He tore his ACL in practice. So that's going to bring his 2024 season to an end. He seemed like one of those guys, right? One of those group of 5 players that was just going to work his way up the board.
Quinyon Mitchell.
Quinyon Mitchell.
That's
not unlike Quinyon Mitchell. That was
Senior Bowl invite, all that. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Jim Nagy was already on him. Like it was looking like that same type of trajectory. So a very tough injury. Hopefully he bounces back. Hopefully, everything goes well with his surgery. I don't think we're going to see him throughout the pre-draft process. So you're really going to have to dig into the tape. You're really going to have to study the tape to see what you can get. And perhaps it's almost guaranteed he'll come at a bit of a discount, but he's a very intriguing cornerback. You know, in a class that we think is going to be really good, top to bottom. It's going to be a good one. Siobhan Revell, again, it's unfortunate that he didn't get an opportunity to continue to bolster that stock. I think I saw it was Jordan Reed had him as perhaps his second corner in the class. Mel Kiper had him as his second corner in the class. Brugler had him as a third. There's no mystery associated with his ability. So it's really unfortunate that we didn't get to see a full slate of games from him in 2024. But we'll keep tabs on him. We'll keep tabs on it in terms of his rehab and see how it all plays out with the upcoming 2025 NFL draft. Big contest in the SEC, very big contest in the SEC between LSU and South Carolina. And South Carolina came to play, man. They gave LSU everything they could handle. Won. Yeah, unfortunately, injury to their starting quarterback hampered them. They had a pair of defensive touchdowns that were overturned by penalty. But, you know, we were obviously going into it. When we previewed this game last week, Friday, we were going into it with a real emphasis on what was happening in the trenches, right? LSU boasts 2 first-round caliber offensive tackles, and South Carolina, arguably the best defensive line. I don't even think it's an argument at this point. The best defensive line in the country, right? And of course, we're all excited about the 6-star player, Dylan Stewart, but he obviously isn't draft eligible. But Kyle Kennard is, Hadley, and you thought he had a particularly good game against Will Campbell, who many think is the top tackle in the 2025 NFL draft. What were your thoughts? What did you come away with in this one?
Man, Kennard, like you said, bro, that the matchup, you know, we're thinking about Dylan Stewart, the 6-star. We're thinking about TJ Sanders on the defensive line in the interior. And, man, Kyle Kennard kind of stole the show. He stole the show consistently, beating Will Campbell, whether it's an inside move, around the edge. And, man, he did his thing. And, you know, I brought up Kennard in summer scouting briefly. And, you know, I just want to read my notes, bro, because I said Georgia Tech transfer. He's one of the long limb, edge setting type defensive ends. Good strength to hold up against the run game. I think length and tackle radius helps him close out the ball carriers, chase down plays. But my area of improvement, I said, I don't know if he's quick twitch enough and he needs more tools in the toolbox. And I'm like, he must have worked on his game crazy, bro. That boy got twitch. He got tools. He showed a bevy of pass rushing moves. Got after the quarterback, Nussmeier, all game long. And beat one of the best left tackles in the country time after time, especially in the first half. Even got him a couple times in the second half. But, yeah, man, he stood out a lot, man. My notes for the game for him was, you know, I saw both Campbell and Emory get beat around the edge against Kennard. So he beat Campbell and he beat Emory on the other side. He was beating both of those potential first-round tackles. Got Campbell with an inside move twice. Those went for completion. So it's like, okay, they completed the pass. Doesn't show up in the box score.
Yeah, but that individual rep.
The individual rep, man. He beat him twice on inside moves. And then sometimes they try to block a tight end against him, bro. You can't put a tight end against skilled edge rushers, man. It happens time after time, and teams get beat by doing that, man. So, yeah, man, Kennard is definitely a stock-up guy, and interested to see his stock rise throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think he's kind of said it all there. I'm just going to add a little bit in terms of the games that were running up front, man. You know, some guys can't run those games, bro. They can't. Hey, I just have to come off the edge if I play the edge position, or hey, I gotta shoot through this gap or double or two gap it, you know. But for him, like he's got that pace and that kind of setup that he can do, that he can play. Like they're taught very, very well. There's a couple of teams in the country that I know specifically can run those games. You can tell that the coach teaches it very well. I know Pittsburgh's one. It looks like South Carolina's another, and I know Tennessee's a big one as well. So he's, I mean, if he keeps this up, bro, he gonna have to listen. We are we sliding him into day 2 currently, or we still kind of, you know what I'm saying? And here's the other thing, like to me, I think this might be the best defense in the country, at least the front 7 in the country. I'm saying it up front. Just watching them going against LSU, it was chaos up front, bro. If they didn't have Nussmeier, I don't know what LSU would have done, bro. Like straight up, you know what I'm saying? If they had a guy that had to sit back there and be a traditional quarterback, game would have been over probably going into the fourth quarter. because that defense was that good in terms of that front seven. But he was a big part of that, man. It was fun to watch, bro. It was really fun to watch, and it was really, really surprising because, you know, we talk about, was it TJ Sanders and them boys? Like, we were looking more into the interior, and this guy comes out of nowhere. Obviously, we were kind of peeking in at was it Dylan Edwards? But it was the Kyle Kennard show. Stewart, I'm sorry, Dylan Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a Kyle Kennard show, bro. All day long, bro. It didn't matter who he was going up against. And like Ellie said, inside move, outside move. He had a little dip in the shoulder, like you know, him and Stewart must be working on it, bro, consistently.
You know, Kennard, as you mentioned, Headley is a Georgia Tech transfer. You can see he's from Atlanta, Georgia. That's Atlanta's school, Georgia Tech. So Georgia Tech was a very poor defense last year. Of course, he was one of the few bright spots on that defense. I think he saw an opportunity here by going to South Carolina, help his draft stock, right? Kind of remove himself from that stigma around Georgia Tech in terms of their performance last year, work on his game, get some additional development. You know, that doesn't always happen, right? I think there may have been a coaching change on that defense as well. So that may have prompted him to move on to South Carolina, but it appears to have been the right move. And certainly his arrow is pointing up as far as his draft stock is concerned. Dillon Gabriel makes our stock up list as well. He's been really consistent this year, right? This past week against Oregon State, the Civil War, as they call it, they kept him clean. That was really the difference. But as far as just in terms of being efficient, completion percentage is over 80%. Like, I mean, he's been razor sharp. Yeah, he's been razor sharp, and he also took I think like a 50-yard tote to the house as well. He broke a long one off as well. So, you know, Drew, you mentioned Bo Nixing it, and I want to talk about that. I want to talk about it.
I'm just saying in terms of the completion percentage. You know, that's it. It stops right there.
Well, let's talk about the differences between Dillon Gabriel and Bo Nix. You guys know that I wasn't particularly high on Bo Nix coming out. We did think that Denver was schematically, coaching wise, was a pretty good landing spot. Just wouldn't have done it in the first round with Bo Nix, right? Of course, he, not unlike many of the quarterbacks, whether they be rookie or veteran, are struggling in the early parts of the 2024 season. But what do you see differently about Gabriel's game as compared to Nix, Headley?
He's going to take shots down the field. You know, that's the thing about Bo Nix at Oregon and now in Denver. He's more dink and dunk, checking it down. I like Bo Nix' athleticism, how he throws on the move. He's very accurate. Gabriel has athleticism, very accurate as well. But I think the main difference is just the propensity to take the shots down the field. To Trayshawn Holden, my guy Tess Johnson, and Evan Stewart, the third receiver over there. Well, he's not a third receiver, but they got a trio of wide receivers, bro. And the main thing with Gabriel is, and what Oregon did this game was, like you said it earlier, just kept him clean. Once you keep this guy's clean, he's going to pick apart any defense in the country because of those three receivers. They're going to be open all the time. So, and he's very calm in the pocket. You know, he'll take the shots down the field. If you take away the shots on the field, he'll take the plays underneath. He doesn't really force anything, man. And like you said, bro, left-handed quarterback, number 8 with wheels, and gets the ball out fast.
Steve Young out there.
I know D-Kit was getting on me last week. He's not Steve Young, but man, this guy's a good football player. I'll say that, man. And like I said earlier, the big difference is he will take those shots down the field where Bo Nix wouldn't.
Yeah, he's got the quiet feet, we call it, in terms of moving around in the pocket. You know, is not worried about the rush. Can slide in and out, you know, in terms of helping out his offensive linemen. And this week they did their damn job, right? Because last week, and I guess for the season so far, they've done a poor job just in general, right? They've almost caught up to the amount of sacks they've given up all of last year, and we're in week 4, going into week 4 now, which that's crazy, bro. You know what I'm saying? They haven't played. You know,
it's another reason why I was concerned about the Bo Nix thing, man. That Oregon's offensive line last year was
crazy, bro. It was the scheme, bro. And it was that they would block it up as well. It was both. Mm-hmm. So you're like, what does it look like when there's a little bit of chaos introduced, right? What is he still the same guy, right? Well, Dillon Gabriel, we know what it is when it's chaos introduced, and we know what it looks like when it's blocked up, right? So you kind of see see both of those, and he can light it up, and he's got the weapons to do it. It's a shame when you got all these weapons, bro. You know what I'm saying? And you got all these ingredients in the kitchen, bro, and I'm walking into ramen, bro, or ramen, whatever you want to call it. Like, I need to walk into my 4 or 5 course meal. Damn it, you know what I'm saying? I'm in the kitchen, I spent all this money. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. You know, so he's delivering as the head chef. He's getting it out, and he's getting it to his playmakers, man. And that's really what you want to see from Oregon. And Oregon being in the Big Ten now, you know what I'm saying? It's probably them and Ohio State. You know what I'm saying? I guess we could throw
Penn State,
Syracuse in there. Syracuse in there.
Penn State. It was Penn State next.
Yeah,
oh, the AC. That's right. No, we Penn State. I'm not throwing Penn State in there, bro.
Drew Aller?
Nah, bro. They got to. I don't know if they can. I don't know if they can score enough points, bro. I don't know if they have enough weapons for me in terms of Penn State. Defensively, I think they're okay, but offensively is my issue, even with the quarterback they have.
Speaking of that offensive line play, Mrs. Zebrowski mentions Josh Connolly Jr., right?
Mm-hmm.
Certainly played well. A guy that you want to obviously keep your eyes on. He played a lot of snaps for Oregon last year. I think he had the most snaps among all of their offensive linemen. Again, he was part of that really dominant group a season ago. Things didn't necessarily get off to the best of starts collectively for the Oregon offensive line, but last week they seemed to get their act together. So got to keep your eye on Connolly Jr. And I don't – for those of you who are keeping count, can you hear me? Everybody can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you frozen, but we can hear you.
Let me see. I'll be right back. Give me a second.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can talk more about this Oregon offense. Like you said, they said Connerly. They got the right tackle. Also, our Johnny Cornelius on the right side. And then defensively, bro, I think Jordan Birch. He just keeps producing. You know, no one talks about him, but physical edge guy keeps producing. And then the secondary got some players: Tyshim Johnson, CPGM's guy Jabbar Muhammad, and then Brandon Johnson, the transfer from Duke. So a lot of talent here on this Oregon team. They just got to protect. If they could protect, I think they could be anybody. They could be anybody in the country, including Ohio State. They just got to protect Dylan Gabriel. That's
the game we're kind of waiting on is them versus Ohio State whenever that takes place. That's the game for me. So, they really got a shot, man. They really
big time matchup. Big time matchup there. But before my camera quit on me for a second there, I wanted to make mention for those of you keeping score. Kyle Kennard is actually tied for the Nation League in sacks, bro. So as you mentioned, Headley, the work that he's done in this offseason, making that transition, assuming, my assumption is he got the coaching that he needed in order to get to the next level, right? One way or the other, whether it's just in terms of how you prepare or how you train in the offseason, adding the additional pass rush moves. So definitely got to keep your eyes on Kyle Kennard. We talked about Dylan Gabriel and the Ducks. Let's move on and stock up, and we'll stay there, but we'll go to the opposite side of the ball here. The defense, Jordan Birch, Drew. And again, you don't see staggering counting numbers, but the consistency, the physicality that he's been bringing to this team, that has lost some pieces over the last couple of seasons on that defense. Your thoughts on him?
Yeah, funny enough, he's from South Carolina. two years in over here at Oregon, so that's kind of funny. Imagine if he was on that D line, what that would look like.
He was there. He transferred. He transferred.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now you kind of said it in terms of his physicality to hold off the edge. If you go back and you watch him play last year going against Talise Fuaga, that was a good game, and for him, he's a guy. I think for me, he can play. He can play edge, and because of his power, I think he can slide inside at times. On maybe on passing downs. I don't know that he has the elite, flash or twitch that you want from the position. So he kind of fits that power edge prototype. So he's not going to be a flavor that everybody's going to like. But he's going to hold up in the run game. For some defenses, that's where it starts, and then we'll work on the pass rush. But in terms of having a high motor, he's probably, if he's going to get the sack, it's probably going to be because of a bull rush, or it'll be because, of high effort, right? Which we can, we can take that. So, but I'm keen in on Jordan Birch to continue to work and just be a little bit more productive, man.
I hear you. You are looking for him to start hanging some crooked numbers in some of these categories, but he's certainly making his presence felt on Saturdays. Noah Williams is who we have next here in terms of stock up. And again, a player that I wasn't terribly familiar with prior to the season, but he's been impressive. The corner from Cal, he's allowed only 6 catches on 18 targets. We're talking about
Jesus.
a QB rating of about 12. About 12, and he has an INT in every game.
I see four interceptions.
Yes.
6'1", 200 pounds. Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm not familiar with him either, but the numbers don't lie. These numbers are impressive, and the 6'1", 200, that's really good size at the
prototypical size. Absolutely.
Bro,
absolutely.
A new quarterback pops up every week, bro. Like this class is looking to be a special quarterback.
It is. This might be a Senior Bowl guy right here too, man.
Like, definitely a player that we got to keep our eye on. He transferred from UNLV, so obviously he's taken kind of that step up in terms of the competition that he's going to face week in and week out. Cal is in Tallahassee this week, right? So I think that game. But just follow me for a second here. Follow me for a second here. What I was getting at was the fact that it's going to be a nationally televised game, if I'm not mistaken. I think this game is on ESPN2. So just in terms of exposure, this is a player that we're going to actually get to see on a broadcast. We can go back to the film, of course, to pick him apart and really study his game. But certainly, if you're not familiar with Noah Williams, you should have an opportunity to see him. I think 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. So he's a guy that I'm certainly going to keep an eye on as well. It's one of those things. It's one of those things in terms of, and it's unfortunate. Mr. C. Prasky, obviously being our resident, Pacific Coast guy. Those players generally are out of sight, out of mind. Unfortunately, right? Unfortunately, they tend to be out of sight, out of mind. Only area scouts really are terribly familiar, unless they are just, upper echelon, unless you're Caleb Williams, right? Unless you're a quarterback or something like that. You understand what I'm saying?
Quarterback, receiver.
Yes, exactly. So Noah Williams, again, at that size, with that kind of ball production, as effective he's been, I mean, you're almost as likely to throw an interception as you are to complete a pass when targeting him currently.
Yep.
So that's impressive by any measure. That's impressive. Absolutely. Next up, we have Dylan Sampson, running back here from Tennessee. And of course, Tennessee's offense is ridiculously explosive. What are your thoughts on Sampson?
I'm a big fan of Sampson. You go, Drew.
No, I was gonna take shots, but go ahead. I'll take shots.
Shots at Sampson? Oh, because they ain't playing nobody.
They ain't playing, bro. Let me just do it right now, bro. We just gonna gently drop 70, and then we're gonna walk off the field, bro. And I'm taking shots now because I know they're gonna run into the SEC schedule, so this will change, obviously. So I'm gonna take my shots now. But everything I've seen from Sampson is usually he's kind of, for me, kind of running through some gaping holes, bro. So I'm not 100% sure. What he is and who he is currently until things when the holes tighten up. But he's reading it right. He's reading it right.
I think his vision has improved a lot since last season. Vision was a little bit of a concern, and you saw it last season. So I know they haven't played anybody special this year, but against tough competition last season, it was times that he took over the game. With Jalen Wright on the roster and my other guy that I liked, that's I think he went undrafted, the second running back last season. But Sampson was the third running back on the roster, and he took over games. I saw Jalen Wright on the sideline watching him in the fourth quarter because this is how physical he runs, man. He's one of those guys in the fourth quarter, and teams don't want to tackle him, man. He's not the biggest guy, but he's a hard runner. His feet keeps moving. I love his balance, great balance, slippery, hard to bring down. And he's another one of these running backs that has that low center of gravity. The 40 time and all that's not going to blow you away, but he knows how to run between the tackles. He has that low center of gravity. He's hard to bring down on the second level. He just runs through those arm tackles, and he's the natural catching the ball out of the backfield. There's a lot to like about him. He's just not one of those make you miss kind of guy, demonstrative like that. He's kind of just grinding things out, being physical, man. So Guys like this, I like, man. Guys like this might not be a day 1, day 2, maybe not even a day 3 pick, but I think he'll end up on a roster, man, because of how physical he is as a football player.
Impressive TD totals in the early goings. I know the competition hasn't necessarily been great, and Tennessee's offense looks as explosive as any offense in the country. But I think his style of play is exactly what the doctor ordered, right? When you're high flying, you got those wide hashes, stacked
Spread you
releases,
out,
whatever the
run
case,
up the
spread you
middle.
out. Especially when you're having to face these light boxes, a guy that can beat you up in the inside is invaluable, especially as SEC play begins. You understand what I'm saying? A guy that actually runs behind his pads as opposed to just being a sprinter out there. So we'll keep an eye on Sampson. We'll keep an eye on him. Of course, you know the nature of this position. A lot of teams are using committees. Although I think a lot of teams would like to have a bell cow. A lot of teams are using committees. There's a lot of attrition at that particular position, a lot of wear and tear. So maybe a boon to have a guy like Dylan Sampson in your stable. You understand what I'm saying? So we'll keep an eye on him. Deontay Lawson from Alabama, the linebacker. Haley, you mentioned going into the season that it seemed like national pundits, the consensus was too low on Deontay Lawson. Like it just didn't make sense. It didn't add up as to why they were lower on him. Still don't truly understand why he isn't getting as much recognition as I think he deserves. But what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, like I said, man, like he wasn't even like ranked in a lot of people's boards. I'm trying to do the research. I'm trying to dig and figure out why he's not getting much attention. He's an Alabama linebacker not getting attention. If he went to like no shots, but like a Middle Tennessee State or another college, and you're like, okay, I understand why he's not getting the national love, but he's on Alabama that's produced great linebackers throughout the years, and he's still not getting any love. I think Jihad Campbell, the other linebacker, gets more love than him, but from last season when summer scouting, man, I just like the tape. I like how he slip blocks. He's not afraid of contact. He's a physical linebacker at the second level. I thought he could turn his hips in pass coverage as well. He's instinctive from the second level. And he's one of those green dot type of players, bro. Like one of those guys that, the coach is going to give him the play. He's going to get everybody lined up. He's a leader. He's a leader on his football team. I think Jihad Campbell is probably more athletic than him. But to me, he's one of those do-it-all linebackers, Lawson, I think he could play all 3 linebacker positions at the next level. They're probably going to put him as a weak side, but man, he's just a very smart, instinctive football player. And yeah, I like him a lot. So I'm still not sure. I'm still not sure why people are not on him like that.
Well, I was going to say because he's not a 5-star guy. No, he's actually – no, he's a 5-star. He's a
5-star guy too?
Yes, bro. I just looked it up. He's a 5-star guy. So I think when you go back and you look at his production, I think that may be part of it. It's not – it's almost like the work that he does is almost offensive lineman-esque, defensive tackle-esque. Right, where his stats don't, he's not making all the tackles. He's that guy that's taking away the lanes and taking away passes that would be thrown his way or in his area because he's where he's supposed to be. Right, and he's not blowing plays up. And I don't think that Alabama's D-line, this might be, and this is, I'm saying this gently, lightly. This isn't the best, tentatively. This isn't the best defensive. Let me repeat that. Let me restate this. This might be the worst defensive line that they've had in the past years, right? And this defensive line is better than most probably in the country, but in terms of
right.
You know what I'm saying, when you compare it to the previous years,
right,
it's not the best because who's rushing the passer for this football team?
Yeah, the edges.
Right?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like I think they're missing that element when it comes to that when it comes to that on their defensive line, but. Like you said, he's extremely smart. He's what you want from the middle linebacker position. We talk about instincts, right, and being where you're supposed to be, and he has that. And he just maybe it's just not sexy enough. I don't know, bro. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I like him. I love watching him, bro. Ain't got no issue with me. But
still trying to figure it out, man. Still trying to figure out why the consensus hasn't caught up, and. I think we just got to give ourselves and our audience some credit. You know what I'm saying? We're ahead of the guys or ahead of the consensus at times. It happens. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully folks catch up as it relates to Deontay Lawson. Who else you got? Who else you got among stock up candidates from week 3? I got one. As you guys are thinking, working through it, I got one. Julian Humphrey, corner from Georgia. When we were watching him during summer scouting, he flashed, kept flashing. And, he's really seems to have found his way. Very talented back end. They got some really young players that are 5 stars, whether they're safety, corner, whatever the case may be. But, the redshirt sophomore for Georgia there continues to play at a pretty high level. I like what I've seen from him. I like how he's built on his previous season there at Georgia. Who else you got?
We can do the Isaiah Bond. I think his stock is up. For me, it was always the talent was there. We just get him the football, right? And I think Texas is doing it in a couple of different ways. We're not just throwing him the go ball. We're kind of letting him run those drag routes, those in routes, short to intermediate, kind of just trying to get him the football and have him do some work. So I think his stock is going to rise, and I'm not sure is he hurt? Is it over? Is season over? Like what's the deal? I don't even know how he got hurt. I was watching the game, but I'm not sure how he got hurt.
Who's that, Bond?
No. Quinn Ewers. Am I saying it right?
Oh no, I haven't heard anything definitive. I haven't heard anything definitive.
Yeah, Arch Manning is supposed to be starting.
Yeah.
This week.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a damn shame. Man, finally turned the corner and get hurt, bro. Damn shame.
I saw him on the football field. He was on the ground, so he's definitely hurt. Arch Manning came in, took it over, had 4 TDs. I think he had one on the ground, broke a long run.
He did.
So they talking about Arch Manning. If he came out, if he was eligible, they say he'd be the number 1 pick.
Come on, bro. Nah, hell no, bro. Nah.
Wow.
Bro. That's namesake, bro. Man, they done nothing. What do you mean?
Arch is talented now. Arch is talented.
Listen.
There was a lot of people who weren't sure about Arch. They were like, the people who actually, pay attention to 5A, 6A, the classes in high school, right? He didn't play at a very high level of football class in terms of preps high school football. And they were concerned. They were like, yeah, man, he's got this number 1 overall prospect in the class based off of his name. You understand what I'm saying? But no Arch. Arch looked like he got game, bro. Arch got wheels too.
Listen,
we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out, bro.
It's not gonna surprise me if he comes out and he's, you know what I'm saying, he's that guy. Just you have to show me, bro. To say he would be the number 1, that's correct. That's it.
Yeah, when I saw it, I thought it was crazy too.
Yeah, that is more than a stretch. But I expect Arch to perform at a high level. Yeah. I expect him to perform at a high level. He seemed, not deterred by the fact that Quinn Ewers is there. I've heard Peyton talk about him in terms of the fact that he loves playing for Sark. So he's Texas's answer, bro. Going into 2025 for sure. And it looks like it's starting now because of the injury to Quinn Ewers. Malik Murphy, who also a very highly touted quarterback prospect, ultimately transferred. He moved on to Duke. So, it's going to be Art's show for sure. Heather, you have anybody else?
I got 2 guys. I'm going to go with 2 running backs. One of your guys, Juice, Raheem Rocket Sanders, South Carolina's running back, the transfer from Arkansas. He had the injury last season, didn't get much of him. He came in a lot bigger. It seems like he dropped some weight. He's looking more spry, and he's running with that lean. Running through tackles, running with power. And then once he gets in the open field, he hit his head on the goalpost. So I like what I saw from him in that LSU game. And I'm going to go with another running back that I wasn't entirely familiar with, Missouri's running back, number 8, Nate Noel. When you watch the tape, bro, he's a fun watch, man. He got that buck. He got that lean on him. It's just very fun to watch. Like, he'll do some, things that scratch your head sometimes. I saw this guy just big for no reason. He hit a spin move for no reason.
He hit O on accident, bro.
He did.
Yeah, man. But he runs hard through the tackles. He has really good burst and acceleration. He's one of those demonstrative runners, man. He's very demonstrative. He's a transfer from App State. And then I looked him up some more, and I'm like, he's from Miami. He's a Northwestern kid. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So
all right. Now it all makes sense. It all makes sense now.
Yep.
I got a story, bro. I was, I played, I was from Broward and stuff like that. I was outside football, tackle. Some guy from Miami came out to the field one day, and I was like, I haven't seen twitchiness like that before, bro. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Once you see it, then you know, okay, that's a Miami running back right there, bro.
Yep.
Because he's super twitchy, man. So that's a guy to keep your eye on, Nate Noel.
All right. All right. Let's finish our conversation around week 3. Was there a particular contest that you wanted to discuss, Headley, as far as NFL draft prospects are concerned that we haven't necessarily discussed at length thus far? Let's talk about that. Let's put a bow on week 3.
Yeah, the big games for me was LSU, South Carolina. We kind of spoke about that. It was the battle of the trenches. That's what we kind of was looking for, especially on the edge. And South Carolina won that matchup. Will Campbell, I'm not going to say he's a stock down guy because he's a very talented football player, but you see that he got things to clean up. He got beat consistently. He's probably still going to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft, potentially. But he didn't have a good game. I thought Emory on the other side played a little bit better. Emory, he has those long arms, bro. And once his feet and his arms are in unison, he's very hard to beat. Also in that game, I have LSU, another edge, Gilbert Edmond, number 55. He kind of stood out a little bit in that game. TJ Sanders was a man on the inside. He didn't really show up too much in the stat column, but he was very physical on the edge. My guy Debo Williams, he's coming down, filling the hole. He's an enforcer out there on the second level at South Carolina defense. And Kyron Lacy, bro, on the other side against LSU, bro, I just love how he moves. He just the ball skills, man. He made tough catches, caught that touchdown in that game, that big catch late in the fourth quarter. And I like how they move him around too. They kind of put him in the best position. You got to put your best player in the best position for matchups against safeties and linebackers. Kind of like how I said last week, how the Chiefs using Rashee Rice right now. Just put your best player, and Rashee Rice is the best player of the pass catchers in Kansas City right now. I think he surpassed Kelsey as the number 1 weapon for Patrick Mahomes. So that's big props to CPGM, Juice and Drew. They had him a little higher than me. I like Rashee Rice, but you guys had him. I think y'all had him at wide receiver 1 at one point too. Early in the process.
At one point, I think the best senior receiver in that class for sure.
Yeah, we saw him at the Senior Bowl, man, and he's showing it right now, man. So I thought the big thing was those 2 pick sixes, though. Those 2 pick sixes that got called back from South Carolina. They should have won the game, but it was Kennard both times, right, Drew, on the pick sixes with the penalties. So, although he balled, one of them was a questionable call. The second one was a very questionable, but yeah, you can't hurt your football team like that, man. You might have cost them a win, even though you were balling all game long.
I know Mr. C. Prasky mentioned his guy, Jonah Coleman, a transfer from Arizona. I like Coleman, bro. This is another back that I like. So he's playing well, averaging about 7.5 yards per carry. So keep an eye on him as Washington tries to kind of reload to a degree. Obviously lost a lot of talent to the NFL in graduation. I want to mention another back, Khalil Mullins. He really kind of took over things in a game against Arkansas State. Mind you, Michigan offensively is not good. Let's just call it what it is. They are starting the young quarterback orgy, which I think is a step in the right direction. Davis Warren threw 3 INTs against Arkansas State, bro.
That's bad. That's horrible.
I do not understand. I do not understand how he broke camp ahead of orgy. But at any rate, it seems to have found something in Khalil Mullins. So you got Donovan Edwards, whom we question his ability to effectively run between the tackles. I think he actually played a little bit better this past week in terms of being patient, understanding when to bend, you know what I'm saying, when to bounce. I think he did a better job, but he's still rough around the edges in terms of being a ball carrier, an effective ball carrier. It's what he does in the passing game. It's what he does in the open field that really is what kind of sets him apart in terms of his individual skill set. But Mullins seems to be the more polished ball carrier, and he had 15 carries, 153 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He was their offense in this particular game. So he's a player. Generally speaking, aside from Corum, was it not this past season, but the year before? Generally speaking, during the Harbaugh era, there usually were two backs, right? There usually was a kind of a double-headed monster in terms of the backfield. Perhaps they have that now here with Mullins and Edwards. So, again, from a matchup perspective, not a whole lot to extrapolate from that. I think, obviously, Michigan has some really talented prospects on the defensive side of the ball. But Mullins has now entered the conversation. He's entered the chat in terms of NFL draft prospects at the running back position as well. Get some rest, Dana. Red Feather Report. Get some rest. We'll see you next week. All right. Enjoy the games tomorrow. Drew, any week 3 matchups you want to discuss? If it's something that we've already touched on, you want to go into further detail, or are you ready to turn the page and look ahead to week 4?
Oh no, excuse me. No, we can go ahead and turn the page to week 4. I was a little, well, let me say this. I was just a little disappointed in terms of not being able to see the rematch between Travis Hunter, the cornerback, versus Torrey Horton. I think he ended up getting injured, I think in the first quarter or maybe in the second quarter. So he, as far as I know, he didn't go back into the game. So kind of missed that matchup, but Hunter was doing his thing as usual.
Yeah. In that Missouri Boston College game, your boy Luther Burden, he finally came alive for Missouri just after the catch in space.
Special.
He's top notch. He's top notch,
bro.
man. Just to make guys miss in traffic.
They don't do enough, bro, to get him the football, bro, which is crazy to me. Like they kind of, I don't know, man. I've watched them the past couple of weeks, and they don't start him early. It's weird. Like he'd be my first target.
Yeah, they need to figure that out quickly as conference play gets underway here. They need to figure that out quickly because, like Hedley said, when it's after the catch for him. He's special. Mm-hmm. He's special after the catch.
It don't have to be a downfield throw. Like, you know what I'm saying? You could bubble screen.
Just get him touches.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
just get him touches.
Football. It's crazy.
Just get him touches.
And your boy Theo Weeks Jr., bro, a CPGM favorite. He showed up, good size. He's the guy that's routing cats up. While Burden's the guy that you kind of want him in space, man. Weiss has that bigger body, routing guys up. He does a really good job with leverage and angles to the football, and excellent ball skills, man. Very, very graceful route runner. He's not very demonstrative, but he understands leverage really well as a route runner.
Very, very smooth player. Yes, for sure. You got Stanford, Syracuse on right now. Illinois, Nebraska. So you got a nice double header there. And my guy Nash from San Jose State, they're playing Washington State right now as well. So a trio of games there. So I'm gonna have to see about Nash, man. See if I can get a feed on Nash, see how he's performing.
Illinois got two good receivers out there.
They do.
Zachary Franklin, the guy we've spoken about a lot, but also a guy, Pat Bryant. Pat Bryant's been making a big impact at the wide receiver position for Illinois. So, yeah, they got some offense over there, and they're tied right now, 17-17 with a Nebraska offense that's pretty good as well.
All right, let's talk about the week 4 matchups you're keying in on for the purposes of evaluating 2025 NFL draft prospects. That's what we do here at Couch Potato General Manager. So which games, Hedley, are you keying in on, and who does the audience need to tune in and watch?
The big one right here, man, USC, Michigan. USC has another big game after playing LSU week 1. And this is a Big Ten matchup here, man. This is, I think, USC's first big test in the Big Ten. New quarterback for Michigan, Orji. But, Miller Moss got another game to evaluate Miller Moss and those guys. Woody Marks, the running back over there. Jonah Monheim on the interior, the center for USC. And I really want to see USC defense. I know Michigan doesn't have a powerhouse offense. They probably want to establish the run and run the football. So I want to see that front seven of USC, Barry Alexander, particularly to see. I know he got bulkier, he got stronger this offseason. So I want to see if he continues to rise.
Yeah, there's a matchup that I want to watch. I was unaware of this guy, but the Twitter Spaces will let you know, right? It's Marshall going against Ohio State. Mike Green, the redshirt sophomore, the edge, going against that offensive line for Ohio State. That's one that I'm going to keep an eye on. I think Green's got think he had a couple sacks this year. So, and the little that I've seen, man, he's got some moves coming off the edge, got the dip, and gets down the line pretty quickly. So that's one that I'm going to be watching. I have my eyes peeled for that for sure.
Yeah, among those 12 o'clock kickoffs, I see Clemson, NC State, obviously ACC matchup there. They're going to be NFL draft prospects on either side there to key in on. But what really intrigues me is actually Houston, Cincinnati, right? I want to see Dante Corleone. Houston always has a few NFL draft prospects that are kind of quiet. Under the radar, yes, including their starting quarterback. So I think that might be the game that I actually end up watching during the 12 o'clock kickoffs and kind of peer in a little bit on the Clemson NC State game. Drew, you mentioned Tennessee hadn't played anybody thus far. They play Oklahoma this week. They play Oklahoma this week. So that's going to be their first real test, a team that can actually score. Oklahoma, I expect them to continue to improve on the defensive side of the ball with Brent Venables. They certainly took a step last year. We'll see. This is a different kind of test, right? Tennessee's offense is kind of ridiculous, right? So this is a very different test, but Oklahoma could put points on the board. They could put crooked numbers up on the board. So a really intriguing matchup there. Of course, you mentioned Dylan Sampson. There's Deion Burks, Dana's guy, Ethan Downs on the defense, Billy Bowman, a lot of different prospects.
Danny Stutzman.
Absolutely. Danny Stutzman, whom some feel is the best off-ball linebacker in the class. A lot of interesting prospects on either
name your boy.
team. Who that?
The guy we got to watch. Your boy Paris. Who that? Paris, right?
I was going to get there. Okay. I was going to get there. James Pierce. I think James Pierce has to show up in this game, right? They haven't necessarily played an opponent that required him to play a full game or for the defense to actually have to get some timely stops, get guys off the field on third down, a team that might be marching down the field. So this is going to be a good test, a good opportunity to see Pierce, see if he's actually, as Drew's mentioned, seems like he's put on some weight, seems like he appears to be stronger. We want to see that. Definitely want to see that. Of course, he has a very high ceiling, but the consistency outside of just the pass rush, the speed rush, I should say, is something that I want to see. I want to see him, hold up in the running game as well. So that's another player that we're going to be keen on. So as much as I've talked about the offenses, I've actually named quite a few defensive players in this particular game. And these defenses are going to be tested for sure in this particular contest. What else you got?
We got Utah, Oklahoma State. 12th ranked Utah versus 14th ranked Oklahoma State. This is Utah's first matchup in the Big 12. So just like USC having a big matchup against Michigan, I want to see how real Utah is. Utah is a very physical football team always, and they'll get Cam Rising back for this football game. So he's like 25, 26 years old, man, the veteran out there. So I'm a keen, but who I'm keying in on is Ollie Gordon. I want to see Ollie Gordon against this physical Utah front. Gordon hasn't put up the biggest of numbers recently. Like I said earlier, he's my running back 2 on my board. So I really want to see him and watch. Is he healthy? Is he healthy, man, from that scare, that potential scare? I don't know. He hasn't looked right. He hasn't looked right recently, man. So I want to see him with a bounce back game against Utah.
Juice, you go ahead and talk about the game you're gonna be watching, bro, at 7:00 at night, bro.
Yeah. I'll be in the building. I gotta watch. I watch the Canes versus my alma mater. You know what I'm saying? I usually pull for the Bulls, but not in this one. I can't do it.
Are you nervous, bro? I know y'all dropped 62 last week.
No
nervousness. They're gonna ruin your perfect season, bro.
No nervousness, bro. No nervousness on this one, man. I think Miami will come out there and put it on Cam Ward. I think once with a lead, you know what I'm saying? If you let USF hang around now, okay, USF could play physical football and they could try to be an upstart, but I think Miami puts them away early. So as far as prospects are concerned, obviously there's Cam Ward. Of course, you got Restrepo, George, that entire offensive line. I'd like to see Damian Martinez get on track. He just hasn't to this point, right? You got Mark Fletcher, who isn't draft eligible, looking really good. Jordan Lyle, true freshman, is getting totes. AJ Allen, when he gets his opportunity, he just look good. Another guy, redshirt freshman, Chris Johnson, bro. Speed. Talking like
fast Chris Johnson?
Fast Chris Johnson, yes, from Orlando. Orlando. Yes, bro.
Almost local.
Yes,
Okay.
bro. Just like CJ2K from that area. So yeah. All the backs seemingly making plays except for Damian Martinez. So I'd like to see that. And of course, that down line at Miami, bro. Led by
Tyler
Barron.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Elijah Alston. You know what's really been impressive about him is how he's kind of dropped back into coverage on those zone blitzes and stuff. Get his hands, make plays in the passing lanes and stuff like that. Keem Mesidor. So quite a few players on Miami's team that you know I'll get a a firsthand look at this Saturday. What's up, Drew? You don't want to talk? You want to talk about the Gators, bro?
Oh, I mean, bro. I mean, we could talk about him.
What happened last week,
bro? Is you already know, bro. I didn't think they were gonna win that game. You know, coaching matters, and people make bad decisions, and you get what you get, bro. Like I've accepted it. Listen. My Bucks did their thing, so the Gators.
It's gravy.
This season can go to hell, bro. I'm good.
It can go to hell.
Hey,
you got LSU. You got UCLA at LSU at 3:30. You also got Georgia Tech at Louisville at 3:30, and then Arkansas's at Auburn, bro. Getting this SEC thing underway. So I think there's a lot of good matchups. You know, Landon Jackson. We want to see that pass rush. We know what he can do in terms of holding up against the run. We want to see the pass rush from him. Arkansas is a very interesting team in terms of, the Deuce, the receiver, Headley. His name escapes me. Andrew Armstrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, there should be a good test here against Auburn on the road there. Your boy Monangai, bro, faces off against Virginia Tech on the road in Blacksburg. So that's another one to keep an eye on. So a lot of intriguing matchups this week. Lot of intriguing matchups. Just between weeks 3 and 4, a lot of prospects that that are now on our radar have just popped up. So the expanse of our draft evaluation, our database, and ultimately our mock draft simulator, which you can get to via couchpotatogm.com, is going to grow. Speaking of which, there's been a new update, some updates to the rankings. We've adjusted the draft picks based on what has transpired through the first couple of weeks of the NFL season. So be sure to check that out. Make sure you delete your cache when you go in so you can see the latest update there. Again, if any questions about how to get to our mock draft simulator, visit www.couchpotatogm.com. You'll link directly to it. It's easier to remember than the actual URL. So unless there's anything else you want to discuss, we're probably going to get you out of here kind of early. This one went quick.
Yeah, I got something, bro. You know, I said it in our Patreon session. Mr. C was there. Appreciate you, Mr. C. Just got a question for y'all, bro. And for the audience, bro. Have you ever paid anybody to whoop your ass, bro? Because every season, especially within the first 4 weeks or so, we got teams just shelling out the money, and we out here losing, bro.
And we out here losing.
Notre Dame to speak of. I think it happened 2 years in a row, if I'm not mistaken, with those guys. I think there's a couple of other teams, too. I can't think off the top of my head that have done that, bro. And you lose, bro, and you got to go answer to the president. You look crazy, man. Like, what? Bro, we just dropped, you know what I'm saying, $1 million for this team, $2 million for this team. We don't bust them boys in, flown them boys in, hotel stay. Like, they asked for the entire, I heard Shannon say, if they want to come play my school, they got to bring everybody in, bro. We not paying for anything. School says, sure, miss. Well, we'll go ahead and drop 80 on you and pay this $1 million, bro. Instead, you know what I'm saying, you out here ruining my perfect season.
Holding the L.
You know what I'm saying? Like, embarrassing, bro. So just wanted to ask that question, bro. I hope not, bro. You didn't pay nobody to whoop your ass, bro.
Yeah, man. I got one thing, bro. You could follow up. I'm about to change the subject, Juice. No,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Nah, because Drew mentioned the conversations we had the Patreon, and hey, you guys need to get in there, bro. Get a tear in there, man. We watching film together. Mr. C was there yesterday, so and another conversation came up, and we kind of skated by it in this show. You mentioned him briefly, and we're talking about the quarterback Carson Beck. And you mentioned him that he didn't play. But Mr. C said he looking real day two-ish. So it might be a conversation for another day, but we got to bring him to the front. We got to bring him to the front, and we got to talk about him because that first half, he didn't look good.
Oh, it was bad. It was
he
bad.
Didn't look good.
It was bad.
Know? And he was some people's QB1 coming into the season. So, yeah, that conversation about Carson Beck, yeah, we need to have it, man, at the front of the telecast. Gotcha.
We'll make sure we adjust accordingly. With that being said, want to make sure everybody has a enjoyable and safe weekend. For Headley, Drew, this is Juice. We'll see you next week.